Our top story, a bridge was blown. A thunderous boom was heard across the valley between New Hanover and Umberino as the remnants of the Bacchus bridge fell into the ravine below. The littered wreckage burned white hot and sent smoke billowing skywards. According to local officials, the bridge is thought to have been sabotaged with dynamite, although investigators are not discounting other possibilities. All military supplies destined for Fort Wallace are now idle, including dragoons, a hospital detachment, and munitions of war sorely needed in the area. The driver of a train that passed through there earlier that day reported seeing two men on top of the bridge acting suspiciously, but as yet they have not yet been identified. Law enforcement officers have been combing the surrounding area looking for the perpetrators. The governor has offered the assembly of a large team of workers that will be dispatched to start rebuilding the bridge as soon as possible. Our next story, Cornwall murdered. The gruesome murder of prominent industrialist Leviticus Cornwall has shocked the country. Members of Congress have called for a special investigation into what is being billed by concerned police as an assassination. Arriving via boat for a business meeting in Annesburg, Cornwall was set upon by assassins who killed him stone dead. The worried authorities worked in vain to trail the violent murderers who fled after a dangerous gun battle. Many of Cornwall's private guards and local lawmen took part in the furious exchange of a hot lead. The identities of the evil murderers are still entirely unknown. Mr. Cornwall was building a significant presence in the area, having recently bought a stake in the local coal mine, which was previously exclusively operated by the Jameson Mining Company. Indeed, he provided employment throughout the country, and it is entirely unthinkable why anyone would seek his death, as his businesses have put biscuits on the table and provisions in the larder for thousands of families. The most thorough investigation was made shortly after the commission of the crime, but officials could not produce evidence strong enough to prove motive for this awful killing of a fine American. Several dead after a wagon hijacked in Van Horn. A wagon carrying cartridges of dynamite was stolen in a brazen hijacking. When the perpetrators fled, multiple men lay dead or wounded. Onlookers said there was a sufficient amount of the explosive to blow up the largest building in Saint-Denis. The shipment originated from the Annesburg mine, which had surplus dynamite. The dynamite was destined for Saint-Denis, where it was to be sold. As the wagon continued its journey, the driver noticed a man lying down in the road, appearing to be sick or badly intoxicated. The driver ordered the man to move so that they may continue their journey. At that moment, men hiding behind rocks emerged and shot and killed the driver and guards. Then they escaped with the wagon. The gang are assumed to be immigrants or a rogue gang of Indians. Law enforcement has been searching the area, hoping to locate the dynamite before it is used for criminal means such as blowing up a bank safe. Linde gang close to capture. Authorities and the Pinkerton Detective Agency say they are very close to having Dutch Linde and his gang in custody, and they should be lodged in jail by the end of the month. The gang was responsible for the infamous boat robbery in Blackwater and have left a trail of death and destruction wherever they pass. They have held up trains, stolen wagons and livestock, and even attempted to rob a bank. The gang of thieves is believed to be thinning in numbers as internal squabbles and gunfights with the law have taken out several members. Famed Gunslingers battle. Calloway dead. When the smoke cleared at Brandywine drop, a score was settled and two legendary gunslingers, Slim Grant and Jim Boy Calloway, were dead. Gunslinger turned Marshal Slim Grant was shot by Calloway, who was seeking revenge for the untimely demise of his cousin many years ago. After mortally wounding Grant, Calloway was shot in the back in a final act of cowardice. Witness to the events preceding their deaths was author and historian Theodore Levin, who is currently penning a biography on Calloway, in which he promises to chronicle in detail the tragic last moments and words of two legends of a lost era. Colm O'Driscoll was hanged in Saint-Denis, ending his ruthless time on the run as a notorious outlaw and leader of the O'Driscoll Boys. The gang perpetrated numerous robberies, train holdups, and brutal murders on both sides of the Grizzlies, striking fear into residents and travelers in the area. Since the death of his outlaw brother a decade prior, Colm O'Driscoll has run with both Irish and American hoodlums willing to die for a few dollars and some whiskey. O'Driscoll had previously avoided the gallows following two separate murder convictions, and some members of his gang began shooting at the police in retaliation directly after the execution. And that wraps up our top stories. Here is a list of some other stories that didn't quite make the top of the list. As always, don't forget to thank our sponsors who make this all possible. I would like to thank you for watching, and I am signing out.